on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Tonight, importance of integration. Prime Minister stresses the need to integrate with the world.
If you are not an outward-looking economy, if you are not integrated with the rest of the world, your future is bleak.
The due date. Minister Faisal Mustafa says the Gazette on local government elections will be issued on the 1st of next month. Commitment to free education. Minister Lakshman Kiryala says that the government will ensure free education in Sri Lanka.
But I wish to assure all of you that free education will be nurtured.
Is it working? Is the progress on the polythene ban working for the country?
I wish they had given us more options.
Those days we used is paper bags and all, no?
An in-depth report tonight on First at 9. What really happened to JFK? President Trump releases thousands of classified documents on the late president's assassination.
The President of the United States is dead.
Good evening to all our viewers across Sri Lanka and around the world. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Our First at 9 coverage begins tonight with the news of possible elections. Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faisal Mustafa today revealed that the Gazette notification pertaining to holding local government elections will be issued on the 1st of November. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, the minister also said that the Gazette notification pertaining to dividing the Nuwara and Ambagamur Pradesh Sabhas will be issued next Wednesday.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faisal Mustafa explained that the combined population of Nuwara and Ambagamur Pradesh Sabhas exceed 200,000 people, and as a result, these entities have to be divided into 6 smaller Pradesh Sabhas.
I will inform the Cabinet of Ministers on Tuesday of the decision to divide Nuwara and Ambagamur Pradesh Sabhas into 6 Pradesh Sabhas. I expect to gazette it by Wednesday. We will definitely realize the target of holding the local government election in January. I can't decide on the date for it though. I can create the environment for the elections.
Meanwhile, residents living in the Sainda Marudu area of the Kalmune Municipal Council in Ampara staged protest today demanding a separate Pradesh Sabha. Severe traffic congestion was seen along the main route of Ampara to Akkarepattu. The protesters later met with the Divisional Secretary of Sainda Marudu to hand over an epistle.
The government is ready to establish a new Pradesh Sabha for the Sainda Marudu area, but the residents and the political authority of the area must request that the area must be divided into 4 Pradesh Sabhas. We can't do that immediately, but we guarantee that we will listen to the views of relevant political authority and civil societies when making decisions.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Elections Commission expressed views on the local government elections following an event held in Galle today.
The local government election got this much public interest because of its delay. That interest is slowly dying out. After Subject Minister issues the Gazette, we hope to hold the election in January.
The Department of Registrations of Persons launched the new Smart Identity Card project this morning in an effort to gradually replace the existing national identity cards. The department, however, noted that all identity cards in use shall not be cancelled with the introduction of the new Smart ID, and Smart Identity cards will only be issued to new applicants who submit applications after the 27th of October this year.
Since 1972, the Department of Registration of Persons issued paper-based identity cards using a manual system. Today, however, they launched the Smart Identity Card in line with modern technology. Minister of Internal Affairs, Wayamba Development and Cultural Affairs SB Navina received the first Smart ID to be issued. The new national identity card has a 12-digit number and it also includes a photograph of ICAO standard and a machine-readable barcode. Other names and occupation mentioned in the old national identity card does not get a mention in the Smart ID. It will feature the name, place of birth, address and gender printed in all 3 languages. The signature of the bearer is also included in the new card. The new Smart Card conforms to internationally accepted standards, enabling public to get their needs attended easily.
The information or the picture of this card can't be changed by any means. Identity cards of persons above the age 40 will not be changed. Those, however, who are below that age should get the identity card renewed.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe warns that the country's future will be bleak unless its economy is integrated with the global economy. He made these remarks addressing the annual sessions of the Sri Lanka Economic Association today, where he also touched on the importance of raising domestic industries to global standards.
The annual sessions of the Sri Lanka Economic Association commenced today under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Here the Premier discussed the importance of ensuring a prosperous economy.
We have started on the process of stabilizing the economy. The central bank has had a tough job in the last 2 years. It will not be made any easier by the fact that our biggest loan repayments are coming in 2018-2019. What do we do in the short term? If you are not an outward-looking economy, if you are not integrated with the rest of the world, your future is bleak. You've got to open out. Then how do we help our own industries to start becoming more competitive, to become export-oriented? That's the challenge that Sri Lanka faces. And we have taken that challenge up.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, addressed issues regarding Sri Lanka's Fiscal Responsibility Management Act.
Sri Lanka has a Fiscal Responsibility Management Act, but it has no teeth. So we need to now find a way of strengthening that act so that any deviation from the target set in that act are only for very specified reasons. And if you do deviate from the target, then you must chart a clear way back to get within the targets. The central bank is in the process of putting in place a flexible inflation targeting regime. The idea now is to have this forward-looking framework which comes with the flexible inflation targeting regime. The central bank is in the process of strengthening its forecasting and modeling capabilities. And not only will we be putting in place this framework, but the idea is also to embed these with legal and accountability framework. In the most extreme cases, the accountability frameworks involve the central bank governor resigning if the inflation target is met.
Well, the proposed new constitution was the topic of choice for many of the politicians today as well, as they elaborated their views here. We in Sri Lanka Freedom Party emphasizes that the executive presidency can't be abolished, it should somehow be kept. President Maithripala Sirisena, just like former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, wants to prolong his term in power. As long as we are in this government, we will not let this country be divided or the unitary status be demolished, a federal system to be established, or the place for Buddhism to diminish. NGOs in the West have asked for a constitution. The country is not enduring upon request of NGOs. As those who were active in establishing this government, we are of the opinion that the executive presidency should be abolished and some sort of devolution of power should be done. Either Monks or any other party can't say no to a constitution. People in this country has given the mandate for such on the 8th of January and on the 17th of August. By now, the international conspiracy has gotten worse. The Tamil and Sinhala people are caught between the country's governance and the West is in a ballgame. Now the match has commenced. We request the members of the SLFP to vote against this. No bombs are needed. When this is passed, it will destroy the parliament. I think Vimal didn't mean an actual bomb. He meant that there is no use of the parliament. We also feel that if this happens, this parliament will be empty. Dr. Nalaka Gudaheva says the government doesn't have a mandate to prepare a new constitution. Speaking to media today, he also mentioned that the economy of the country is in a crisis and needs the government's attention.
So all in all, Sri Lanka's economy is in a crisis. There is no doubt about it. So the responsibility of the government should be now to identify this problem and address those, because that is one of their primary responsibilities. But what is the government doing? They are currently acting as if introducing a new constitution as their main responsibilities. But who has given them a mandate for that? UNP. They were the only people who spoke about a new constitution in their manifesto, but they also didn't get a mandate. The question is, why is government so gung-ho about introducing a new constitution? That is simply because they are doing a contract. They are performing as per the expectations of somebody who supported them to come to power. Please work according to the mandate that is given to you. Put this economy back on track. That is your primary task.
Let's shift gears now on to other stories we have for you tonight. Minister of Higher Education Lakshman Kiriyala insists that the government is dedicated to nurture free education in Sri Lanka. He added that Sri Lanka always supported free education by increasing necessary funds even during times of the conflict. The minister made these comments at the inauguration of the 5th International Conference on Ayurvedic and Traditional Medicine organized by the Institute of Indigenous Medicine of the University of Colombo.
There are various rumors that free education is to be abolished in Sri Lanka, but I wish to assure all of you that free education will be nurtured, it will never be diluted. Whatever the problems, whatever the difficulties, we have nurtured free education. Even during the war, the civil war, the money spent on education were increased year by year. So the students must appreciate this fact. Our universities are famous for demonstrations, but I must tell you, the moment you demonstrate, your international standing will go down.
Also speaking at the event, the High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, stated that India and Sri Lanka together are attempting to enhance cooperation in the field of traditional medicine.
We also need to pay special attention to the development of appropriate regulatory framework for preventing malpractices under the name of traditional medicine. India and Sri Lanka have been able to finalize a MOU for cooperation in the field of traditional medicine and homeopathy.
Now, it has been almost 2 months since the government imposed the law banning the use of production of certain polythene and plastic products. Most commonly known as the polythene ban, the strict decision is praised as one of the best moves made by the government thus far towards environmental protection and better consumer practices. So has the ban been effective? First at 9's Manusha Jatilaka takes an in-depth look.
Polythene and plastic materials, with their notorious reputation for being non-degradable, has taken control over the daily lives of human beings much faster than they ever thought over the last 2 centuries. In Sri Lanka, plastic consumption per person has risen to 7 kilograms per day by 2017. 97 million kilograms of polythene and plastic are imported into the country per year, while 14 million kilograms are exported. Before the government imposed the law banning the use and production of polythene, 115 metric tons of raw materials were used for production of shopping bags, lunch sheets and grocery bags per day. Chairman of the Central Environmental Authority, Professor Lal Dharmasiri, explained that although there is a dire need to control the use of plastic in its entirety, the ban only covers a number of products.
Only 4 items, grocery bag, lunch sheet, shopping bags and polyester boxes were banned. Especially high density polythene, HDP. If you are saying the polythene ban, that is a total wrong.
2 months have gone by since the government imposed the ban. Are its effects apparent? What do the people really think?
I wish they had given us more options.
Those days we used these paper bags and all, no? Why we can't go back to that?
We should have been educated about the other alternatives. That is where that they are lacking.
We're used to our parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles hoarding plastic bags to throw garbage in. We need more alternatives, we do.
The seeming lack of alternative as well as the minimal time given to public to familiarize themselves with these alternatives has created a pathway for fraudulent businesses to boom in the market. People purchase lunch sheets and shopping bags by certain manufacturers under the impression they are biodegradable. What is the government's plan to arrest this situation?
We are planning to introduce the labeling systems. Then the general public and the shop owners can easily identify whether it is biodegradable or not.
Meanwhile, did the government actually prepare for possible challenges that manufacturing companies would face following the ban? especially with regards to the packaging industry.
Packaging industries are not affected by this law. They can use it, HDPO, LDPO, whatever may be. They are free from these gazette notifications.
However, a contradictory view was expressed by the chairman of the Packaging Development Centre, Dharmatilaka Ratnayaka.
Actually, the time given for them to stop this substitution of as well as selling of high-density polythene bags was too short for them to recover, actually, see what they could do. One or two industries had almost been bankrupt because of this, because they invested quite a lot of money and bank loans. There's no alternative. That's the one serious problem we have at the moment.
Meanwhile, Professor S.T. Hettige from the Colombo University highlights a positive economic opportunity the government is yet to think of.
If you reduce the use of polythene and plastic, naturally there is going to be a vacuum, there is going to be a hiatus. Now that is the opportunity for us, and that hiatus can be filled by producing things in rural areas, particularly using available resources, so that we will be able to even regenerate the rural economy to a certain extent.
So, over the past 2 months, has the government taken legal action against those who fail to adhere to the ban?
His Excellency President instructed that not to harm any party of the country with this new law. Still there are polythene stocks, HDP category. We have given a little time.
Regulating polythene and plastic usage cannot simply be added to the government's set of responsibilities. It's time we tap into our own conscience and adopt positive consumer habits, and with it, educate the next generation. This will enable us to save our beautiful island from tragedies such as garbage heap collapses and increasing natural disasters brought on by centuries of man-made mistakes.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
A 28-year-old mother, along with her 4-year-old daughter and 2-year-old twins in Jaffna, died today after consuming poison. Reports say the mother poisoned her children and then herself as she was struggling to recover money given out as loans. Her husband also took his own life 2 months ago. Wildlife officers of Wilpattua successfully captured a 5-foot crocodile today, which had been inhabiting Galwava in Walpalugama in Nochiagama. Residents say that crocodiles venture into the village due to dry weather. At least 15 houses sustained damage due to strong winds accompanied by heavy showers in Karapola, Valikanda, displacing 52 people.
Derana's Sipsal Pubudua, a project launched to meet the basic needs of students in underprivileged schools, commenced from the Udagalde Theldini Kanishta Vidyalaya recently. The project supplies basic requirements for 12 schools located in rural areas in line with the 12th anniversary of TV Derana.
Udagalde is home to 32 families living amid difficulties, with farming being their livelihood. The school only educates 15 students. Although they are provided with the opportunity to study until their GCE ordinary level, it is regrettable that many students had to stop their education at the 5th grade owing to economic difficulties. Having identified these difficulties, Derana made arrangements to fulfill their basic requirements. Derana also took measures to address the problems locals faced pertaining to drinking water.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back everyone, on to business news. Economist Dr. Indrajit Aponsu emphasizes the need for the government to create unwavering trust among different economic players to create economic growth through the upcoming budget. Dr. Aponsu, senior lecturer at the University of Colombo, also went on to explain the challenges of current economic growth being on a downward trajectory.
Economic growth being on a downward trajectory is a challenge itself. Now you're having a situation where your predicted low economic growth targets have been further downwardly revised. Now that precipitates even a bigger problem to the present government to look forward to decent economic growth in a foreseeable future. What really happens is when you have a persistent economic growth falling and expectations are getting lowered, you find people are not believing in whatever the targets you're setting in, and it's going to be extremely hard.
Dr. Aponsu also explained the challenges the upcoming budget might face with regard to the economic growth.
When an economy is on a downward trajectory, it releases so many other issues that go against budget that would be promoting economic growth. Promoting economic growth is basically looking forward to the private sector to create investments. Now that means you have to give concessions, you have to make focus on the private sector and the growth sectors. But on the other side of it, there's a public. The public wants subsidies, welfare measures in place. And on top of that, there's an inflation. So that means that people's purchasing power has been eroded considerably. So we have two situations which we will find extremely difficult to balance.
Meanwhile, Dr. Aponsu emphasized on the importance of establishing trust among different economic players to create economic growth.
What has happened currently is a situation of serious erosion of expectations, problems with regard to the very resources that are required to be mobilized. When you are having a situation where your funds are not in adequate and ample quantities, you have to cut the cake according to what you have. Now, this is where the real dilemma this government has at the moment. And also, we are around an election. Election years are normally targeting or pressurizing the budgets to be on welfare footing rather than on growth, because growth takes time to realize. And people don't wait for growth to realize and then get on board with the government. The immediate thing the government would be tempted to doing is giving more and more welfare. More and more welfare comes at the serious expense of growth incentives.
Let's take you to the stock market now. The Colombo Stock Exchange ended the week on a negative note as investors booked profits in selected stocks. Market turnover decreased to 352 million rupees today, with the highest contributions from People's Leasing and Finance amounting to 55 million rupees. Foreign investors were meanwhile net sellers of 61 million rupees worth of shares. Participation accounted for 17% of the total turnover. For more from the trading floor, we have Imeshi Fernando.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 3,006.72 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Adam Investments, Amana Life, Anilana Hotels, Nation Lanka Finance and Brack Lanka Finance, while the top 5 losers were Sigiriya Village, Serendip Engineering Group, Kotagada Plantations, Amaya Leisure and Tesagro.
Now, for a detailed picture of how the markets performed during the week, here is Upul Adapathu from NDB Securities with our weekly review.
During this week, SBI gained 0.6%, mainly due to price gains in Dialog Asiata, Hatton National Bank and Lion Brewery. Meanwhile, S&P SL20 increased by 1.1% for the week, while the second highest was seen in the diversified sector. Foreigners remained active for the week, where foreign purchases accounted for 54% of the weekly turnover. A net foreign inflow of 535 million rupees was recorded, which increased the year-to-date total net foreign inflow to 18.8 billion rupees. Out of the weekly turnover, block trades accounted for 42%, which was lower than last week.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back everyone on to international news now. Conspiracy theories have swirled since late US President John F. Kennedy was fatally shot by Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas, Texas 54 years ago. Now, yesterday, US President Donald Trump ordered the release of 2,800 files on President Kennedy's assassination following a deadline 25 years in the making. Trump, however, yielded to pressure from the FBI and the CIA to block the release of some information, citing national security concerns.
The President United States is dead. President Kennedy has been assassinated. It's official now. The president is dead.
A 1992 law passed by Congress required all records related to the assassination of former US President John F. Kennedy to be fully disclosed to the public within 25 years, a deadline which passed yesterday. Accordingly, the US National Archives released the files, giving researchers, conspiracy theorists and observers a chance to sift through 25 previously unreleased full documents and thousands in part. Allegations of a government cover-up may not be subdued by reports that the CIA, FBI, Department of State and other agencies lobbied at the last minute to keep certain documents secret. According to records revealed by US media so far, Soviet Russia had alleged that Kennedy's assassination was an organized conspiracy by the ultra-right in the US to effect a coup. A memo outlining a CIA intercept of a call between Kennedy's assassin Lee Harvey Oswald and an officer of the Russian spy agency KGB was also released. Meanwhile, administration officials say Trump ordered government agencies to study the redactions in withheld documents over the next 6 months to determine whether they need to remain hidden from the public.
Governor Connolly was shot in the upper left chest, and the first unconfirmed reports say the president was hit in the head.
Well, the High Court of Australia ruled today that Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce is ineligible to remain in Parliament over having held dual citizenship while contesting elections. The ruling, which also disqualified 4 other senators, cost the government its 1-seat parliamentary majority.
Australia's constitution prohibits dual citizens from being elected to office. Deputy Premier Barnaby Joyce's exit, caused by citizenship of New Zealand, means that Premier Malcolm Turnbull's centre-right coalition must now win the support of one of the 3 independent lawmakers to keep the minority government afloat. Joyce, however, had renounced New Zealand citizenship in August and could return through a by-election which is likely to be held in early December.
The Catalan Regional Parliament today voted to declare independence from Spain. Meanwhile, the Spanish Senate is discussing a plan by the Madrid government to take over some of Catalonia's autonomous powers amid an escalating crisis over the region's push for independence.
Under the proposals, which were announced by Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy this week, Catalan President Carles Puigdemont would be removed and new regional elections will be held. The Spanish government in Madrid would take control of Catalonia's finances, police and public media. In a chaotic political backdrop, an independence motion was passed in the Catalan Regional Parliament, a 135-strong assembly with 70 votes in favour, 10 against and 2 blank ballots.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Derana 24/7.
On to sports now. The second 2020 international between visiting Sri Lankan side and Pakistan will get underway momentarily in Abu Dhabi. Sri Lanka, however, did not get off to the best of starts in the series as they succumbed to 7-wicket loss yesterday during the series opener played at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium.
Winning the toss, Pakistan invited Sri Lanka to bat first. Opener Dilshan Munawira fell for a duck in only the 3rd ball of the innings. By the 12th over, the top 5 Sri Lankan batsmen were back in the pavilion with the score on 66. Before long, the visitors were all out for just 102 runs. Medium pacer Hassan Ali finished with career best figures of 3 wickets for 23 runs.
Hassan Ali.
Chasing a paltry target of 103, Pakistan soon found themselves on 18 for the loss of 2 wickets, giving hope to Sri Lankans. But Shoaib Malik together with Mohammad Hafiz guided the team to victory with 7 wickets to spare.
This team more and more.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome to the Weather Center. Now, tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 27 degrees Celsius in the western half of the country. The east coast, though, will be somewhat warmer, hitting a high of 31 degrees Celsius in the southeast. However, cooler temperatures in the low 20s will prevail in the central hills. Now, a low pressure zone will form across the island during the latter half of the day, spelling widespread showers and thunder showers. That's it from the Weather Center tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
Well, it's Friday, and before we wrap things up for the week, let's share a good story with you tonight. Well, it comes for us from Dubai. Now, the best way to take in the spectacular Dubai landscape is from 10,000 feet in the air, at least according to skydiver Gerard Martin. With over 1,000 jumps in the city under his belt, well, he should know. After an accident left him without the use of his legs, Gerard didn't let his love of skydiving wane. Thanks to adaptations made to his landing style and modified equipment, Gerard is still able to fly high and free.
I've been disabled for 8 years. I was in a weird parachuting accident when I was 18 years old, and it was a tragic accident, but I think in the end it really made me stronger and maybe even a better person, who knows. When I was injured, what really saved me was the family-like attributes that skydiving has with each other, and there was no time for me to be depressed. There's no time for me to be sad. My friends and family really made it an easy transition to what would be the next chapter of my life. I'm in the zone and I'm really doing my thing, it's nice to know that there's people that I'm helping, whether it be disabled people, trying to get them to do whatever they think they can do, because if I can do skydiving, anybody can do anything. And whether it be someone disabled or not, I think it inspires everyone to push themselves to do things that they never thought was possible. If you think about it, like some guy in a wheelchair skydiving, that doesn't seem possible.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. First at 9 will return tomorrow at the same time. Be sure to join us then. Enjoy the weekend. Good night.